Hello, I think I'm a little late and I'm starting to paint now, or I'm starting to get ready to paint. My cat Zook has a lot to say. I'm just setting up really quickly. So these three drawings are the same sketch that I made, honestly, a really long time ago, but I kind of just don't know how I want to finish it. I don't know if I want to do it digitally even, maybe do it on Procreate later. So sorry, I'm setting up, I have kind of a janky setup, but if anybody wants to tell me if they can't see, please let me know. So I have this girl, oops, did something happen? Okay, wait, oh, I think I'm pressing a button. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna go on my computer to see if this is working. So hi, my name is Hannah. I'm an illustrator, but mostly English teacher when it comes to actually making money. I teach English online right now through basically italki, if you're familiar with it, and I am not super psyched about it, to be perfectly honest, and I'm not sure if this is working or not, so let's see. Just bear with me. This is my third time doing this and I'm not really super familiar. So I might be talking to just myself right now. It is working, I think. Might be talking to just myself right now. Is it working? Okay, yeah. Is it working? So my boyfriend Sangjin looks like he's in the chat. So it looks like it's working. And so yeah, these are my three drawings, but it looks like it froze. Did it freeze? But can you see me? What just happened? Why does it look like, oh shit. What just happened? Why does it look like, what? What? No, can you see like the video? Is the video working? I can see. This is embarrassing. Oh, okay. Okay, well, hopefully nobody is going to be really watching this. So these are my three drawings of the same girl, but you can see that each one came out slightly different. So I made this on my iPad. This is a sketch that I made, and I printed it out at 7-Eleven, and I transferred it using this light table thingy right here. And oh, there's this cute little guy I have. Let's put him there. So basically, I'm gonna try these kinds of watercolor. I call them ink, but they're really watercolor, but they're really nice to use, and I don't have to like really mix them that much. I just use water. So that's one way I want to do it today, is just go really loose. Frankly, I'm not super confident with this way of working. I feel like I'm not very good at understanding things like hair and shadows as well as I would like, to get them to look as realistic as I would like in a few strokes. So oftentimes I'm dissatisfied when I go with this kind of more loose watercolor look, but I'm gonna try it anyway. The other way I want to work is I'm gonna outline her with this Copic pen that I got. Frankly, I wish I had a sepia one because I really kind of like the warmer color. And then I'm going to use acrylic gouache, but I'm going to use it in a really watery way. That's the plan. So, and then the last one, if I'm still up for it, is I'm going to use some acrylic markers that I got from ArtX for a video that I made with them, which I was really psyched about, but the video didn't perform super great, so that's a little disappointing. But I got free markers, so that's cool, and I genuinely like them. So yeah, today I want to talk about style, and I think we're gonna start maybe with the ink one because that is a nice, we're gonna start with, I'm trying to think which one I want to do. Okay, we'll do this one. Let's start with watercolor because that's really kind of what I was thinking of for her, but I just have been struggling to know what colors I want to use with her. So let me find my eraser. That's a bit of a problem. Maybe it's on the floor. So I'm not the most organized artist. I know I just watched a video by Uncomfy named Tammy, and she had just this really long video of her cleaning, which I was really impressed by because yeah, I'm not that person. And it made me feel like I really need to clean more, and I need to clean more often and keep things a little more straightened than I currently do. Like finding an eraser. I just found this on the floor with cat fur on it. I want to make sure this is close enough so that you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Oh, maybe I shouldn't do this one. This paper is a little curved. Okay, we'll just do it. So I'm going to lighten it up quite a lot. And then I'm just going to kind of go for it. I really like the artist Maruti Bitamin, I think is her name. Or her pen name, maybe better. And she does, or he does, I'm frankly don't know. Really beautiful work. I'll put it in the chat. Artist, I think it's Maruti Bitamin. Like, they have like beautiful, like more ink, watercolor characters. And I think that they have the best stuff, honestly. Not the best stuff, sorry. That she has beautiful, like, really simple characters, but that are done very effortlessly with all of this, like, beautiful detail, but in very few strokes. And I feel like that comes from a really, like, good understanding of how figures work or how, like, the animals work or whatever. So I'm lightening this a lot. To probably people on camera, you can barely see it, but to me, I can still see the lines, and I did draw it, so I kind of remember what she looks like anyway. So I think this one's gonna be the worst, frankly. So I guess I'm doing this in a way because I've kind of given up on trying to, quote, like, find my own style. I think like trying to find your own style is a bit of this term we use in art all the time. Like, you need to have a distinct style. It needs to be kind of like your trademark, and you can't really deviate from like a certain color palette or from, you know, a certain way of doing things. And I find that it's been really hard for me to stick with any kind of style. Excuse me, I actually have this cool new desk that I'm really psyched about, and it is a standing desk, and I need to bring it lower. I think it can go lower, so just pardon. Ooh, so I'm pretty short, so I think it needs to go a little lower so I can see. Perfect. Isn't that awesome? Oh man, but we should bring the camera a little closer maybe. Okay. Oh, you can see a little bit too much of me, maybe. All right, so let's try and do her hair. We're gonna go blue. We're going not realistic here. I've been really wanting to use this kind of teal color. It's really bright though, so maybe I'm gonna add a little water. I use these little plates that I got at Daiso in Korea, and I think they're so pretty as palettes. They're so cute. Like here's another one. Here's another one. I also use them to store jewelry sometimes, but right now they're palettes. So I'm nervous. I think I'm procrastinating on doing this. So let's go for it. So she's gonna have blue hair. So I'm gonna just make it a line drawing because I wanna keep the detail, but I wanna bring in some shading to the hair too. And I don't want it to just be lines, but I think I'm not super familiar with how shadows work on hair for it to work as well as I want. So yeah, as I was saying, is I think like to be a successful commercial artist, a lot of people talk about style, and maybe they do for fine art as well. I'm just not in that. I don't really listen to anything in that particular field because I know I'm not really a fine artist. I like sort of simplistic, pretty things, and I don't feel like that's something that's really part of fine art. And I'm already worried about how this is coming out. So if you're familiar with other YouTubers, like another YouTuber I really like is Mimi Moo Illustration, and something she definitely talks about is finding a unique style and sticking to it. And I really like her. I've taken her course and I've watched her Skillshare classes, and I think her strategy has really worked super well for her. She definitely has a pretty consistent style and color palette that she uses, and how she draws her characters is very consistent. And obviously she has like changed, you know, you improve over time in certain ways, or you take things and lose certain things. But I would say overall her mood feels very similar. And maybe mine does too. I think that's something we get a little, maybe as an artist, it can be hard for us to almost see our own style. Because it's like, oh, if I'm not always doing watercolor, or if I'm not always doing, you know, pen and ink or whatever, then it's a different style. But this is the same exact drawing, but we're just gonna finish it 3 different ways. But I do feel like it's gonna have very different moods, even though I do it different ways. And that's the thing that I get caught up on, is like, what mood do I want? You know, what do I want to say? How do I want to say it? I think this particular drawing is well suited to more of a watercolor look personally, because it feels very light. But like I've mentioned, I'm not very confident in my watercolor abilities. I'm making a watercolor painting in school right now, and it's coming out really messy. Thankfully, it's not a subject matter that I'm really interested in for my personal work, so I don't feel too depressed about it. But yeah, so I wrote that I wanted to talk about styles, but for right now, in this very moment, I feel incredibly anxious. So if you're watching this right now and you feel anxious, you're not alone. I've done these videos, this is my 3rd time, but I'm feeling really stressed about this one, which is weird because you'd think I would feel less stressed the longer they go. But I'm liking the way her hair is coming out so far. But yeah, I'm feeling really anxious, maybe just because I got off the phone with my mom, and I've been living overseas. You know, before I moved to Korea or Japan, I lived in Korea for 6 years-ish. And, you know, obviously COVID happened while I lived in Korea, and I would say my mom's health definitely got worse. There were some crises and things like that, and that was really hard to be so far away. But they've been talking about finally coming and visiting me, but they've been kind of dragging their feet on it, and I'm not sure if they're gonna really come, in which case I have to visit them in California during my break, and I'm feeling a little anxious about visiting home. You know, there's been terrible wildfires in Los Angeles, and I feel kind of anxious about seeing what's happened to, I'm from Pasadena specifically, and I used to go hiking in Eaton Canyon. I know Altadena. I have a friend whose, I know grandmother lived there. I don't think she's alive anymore. She was quite old, but maybe she is. Jesus, I should check. But I feel not super psyched about visiting California and visiting home. I would rather they would come out and visit me. And I'm just worried about them. I think, you know, it's kind of this weird thing. I've been living overseas so long. And it's been long for them too. It's like this weird thing, like, you know, logically that, you know, time still passes elsewhere, but I haven't been there, you know, while it's passed. And so it's hard. You know, my dad is fully retired and I think is not super engaged in the world right now. And my mom's health isn't super great. So I'm just worried about how they're doing. And I feel a lot of like child guilt about being far away and doing this thing that I've always wanted to do, which is live overseas and pursue learning other languages. But I've sort of second guessed that a lot because I never really learned Korean, even though I lived there so long. My Korean is still pretty poor or non-existent according to some people. And it makes me question my decisions a lot. Just like I question my art decisions. So here she is. I think the hair looks kind of cool. I'm not sure what color I want to do. I want to kind of wait for her hair to dry a little bit before I do her body. So I'm not quite sure what color I want to do. So let's do some practices. I have this beautiful, like really red color. I have this color, which I was thinking of using probably for her skin. So let's put some out now and we'll put it in this one. And I have a yellow here, but if I recall, it's quite yellow, so I don't think I'm gonna use that. And then I have this pretty like sepia kind of color. So let's try that. So I don't really remember. I haven't used these in a long time. I left them in Seoul, honestly. I didn't bring them with me when I moved to Korea or to Japan. And I recently visited my boyfriend and I was able to also see some friends while in Seoul. And I retrieved these watercolors and I'm very pleased because I do think they're really pretty. So yeah, I think I'm gonna just do an outline. I'm not gonna shade it like I did with her skin or her hair. I'm just gonna do an outline, I think. Maybe I will do shading just a little bit. I don't know, I'm worried that when this is done, it's just gonna look really blobby and that I'm gonna wanna put like lines in it. I really recommend you check out the artist that I put in the chat. You'll see what I'm maybe trying to go for here and not totally succeeding at. So yeah, so back to style. If you're an artist, I'm curious whether you feel like sticking to one style is really important and whether you do that in your own practice. Or whether, you know, if you are a commercial artist, if you basically experiment on your own with like no real intention of selling it, and then maybe you kind of incorporate those things into other aspects of your art later, you know, maybe slowly, but you have like your kind of more commercial stuff, and then you have your more kind of like, I think this needs to be closer. So you have your more commercial stuff and you have your like personal stuff. And maybe that's the way I should really be going with this. I'm not sure. I'm having fun with this so far though, I'll be honest, but I feel like it reminds me of working with like alcohol markers, like Copic markers or something, or Prismacolor markers or something. I feel like that's the effect I'm getting, even though that was not really what I was going for. So yeah, that's how she looks so far. I feel like this video quality looks not so great. So let's keep doing it. But I think with having my hand in there, it focuses on my hand and not on the drawing. So let's maybe take my hand out, although I kind of need to hold it. So I don't know what to do about that. So if you're curious, if you've just tuned in, I'm drawing this girl in different ways. I'll put one version here, you can see. I'm already feeling a lot of unsureness about this one. I don't think it's dark enough. I think it's gonna be too light. And that's something that I've sort of noticed as a pattern in my work, is that I'm maybe not including enough contrast. And I just finished a painting for school that I was really proud of, but basically the teacher said the background and like the foreground were kind of too much white, and it kind of, the main subject kind of faded. And although I did go back to school to get help, it made me feel kind of bad because I spent so much time on it and I was really proud of it, and I'm still proud of it and I can change it. But it was just kind of like, man, I really liked that color and I don't know. And I was a little frustrated because I had actually originally proposed, like I showed her sort of my color ideas, and I had proposed a darker color for the background. And the painting I'm talking about is actually the one that I have in my community post right now. It's a girl with like a scene in her. It's like a, you know, landscape and sky in her hair. And the background is pink, and basically she was like, this is competing with the main thing. So that was very disappointing, and I'm afraid that I kind of tend to maybe use too much whites and don't maybe use dark enough colors and don't get enough of a push or a punch, which is funny because in my digital art, I've gotten opposite feedback, which is that things are too bright. Maybe, well, I guess it's not really opposite. I just go in the other direction. Instead of everything competing because it's all light, everything is competing because it's also like saturated. So I think that it's something I want to work on, is a little more balance between those two things. So yeah, I'm already regretting that decision on her legs. Ooh, that does not look so good. Yikes. Does that work though? I'm using a third-party streaming platform, so I'm not sure if that's going to work if I press and hold, but I can try. But I have to take it out of the hold. I don't know. I don't know if that worked, homie, but thanks for the advice. We'll see if that helped. It's kind of hard taking it out of its home and the thing that I'm holding my phone with. I don't think that worked. Yeah, that definitely did not work. It's all blurry now. Okay, I'm feeling a little depressed. The colors don't look accurate at all either. Okay, well, the show must go on, so let's keep doing it. I think that's still a little too wet, but I kind of really need to add a line to separate her legs. But we'll wait till it dries, I think. Yeah, it's still going in and out of focus. I don't know what to tell you. I'm using a third-party streamer, which you can see, I think, in the corner, no? I'm using a third-party app to stream this because I don't have enough followers to stream directly from my YouTube. I am not monetized, obviously, and I can't use just YouTube to stream. So I'm using Prism Live to stream right now so that I can use my phone. On my first stream, I just like recorded directly from my computer, which was interesting. So I'm feeling a lot of lack of confidence here. Maybe this isn't the first one I should have gone with. But it is what it is. That's okay. We can always add some dark lines later. Maybe we'll do that at the end. So her skin is done, I guess. I think that I apologize that it keeps going in and out of focus. We'll look into that later, but I don't really want to interrupt what I'm doing right now. But I have, after her, I think I'm going to do the pen version, because that's going to be like almost the complete opposite, because this is all kind of loose and then the pen is going to be very much controlled. And I think that'll be interesting contrast, but and then at the end I'm going to try using the acrylic markers, because that is going to be, I think, the most familiar for me, honestly. That's kind of more my style. I really like the acrylic markers. I use Art X right now, but I am open to other ones, frankly, but I've really enjoyed the Art X ones. I just would like a few more colors. So I think I did too much finagling with the skin, maybe, but that's okay. For the dress that she's wearing, you know, let's go for it. Since it's not really coming out the way that I'd like, I think I'm gonna just give her dress a pattern, because that's something that I enjoy doing, is kind of giving patterns. So I think we'll just do maybe a flower pattern on her dress. Oops. And with this really bright red, which I enjoy, it's kind of almost more orange. It's very warm red, which I prefer warm colors, generally speaking. So talking about style, if you're an artist, I'm curious if you stick to a certain style and if you think that's important. And I really felt like that was important, but I just felt like I couldn't do it. And that I do think that has been a bit of a hang up, personal, and maybe it has slowed down my ability to get jobs, because it's always kind of like, well, this art doesn't work for this job, but maybe it could work for this job, or this art doesn't work for this job, but maybe it could work for this job. And I just never know. And I'm honestly feeling a little disappointed with how my art is going these days. I'm struggling with feeling confident in my own work, and I'm struggling with feeling confident, obviously, on YouTube. I don't get a lot of views on this stuff, and I just wonder if I'm just maybe kind of boring, which, this is a live stream where I'm just rambling on. Oh, this looks like a Hawaiian pattern. That was kind of not my intention, but she could be Hawaiian. Why not? I heard Moana 2 wasn't that good. That's sad. I liked Moana. So she can be a Hawaiian girl. That's okay. It is sort of a very simple summer dress style, I suppose. So my plan was to talk about style, but I feel like I've finished, which is basically, I don't care anymore. I'm just gonna keep doing what I want for now, and since I live in Japan, if I want to stay here after I graduate, I'm gonna have to get a job at a company anyway. So I figure that either way, my own finances are not going to be coming directly from my own personal art at the moment. And even though I would like to get more freelance jobs, that would be really great. I know that if I want to stay in Japan, that even if I did, let's say, get tons of freelance jobs because I have a consistent style, well, I would still have to figure out a different type of visa, a job visa, work visa, so that I could continue to live here, in which case it would have to probably be the visa that I'm getting a degree in. From what I understand, I can't switch to an English teaching visa, which I wouldn't want to do anyway, but maybe, you know, if you had like a part-time job and you could just do freelance and get a visa, that would be a possibility. But from my understanding, from talking to my fellow international students that are from Taiwan, they said to me at least that, and from what I heard from the teacher, from what I understand, I really have a difficult time understanding that particular teacher sometimes. But he said basically the same thing, which is I can't like just get like an English teaching visa because I've been going to school and that's been the support or whatever. And frankly, I really wouldn't want to get just an English teaching visa anyway. So it's okay. I do want to get a job in Japan. It's something that I've kind of dreamed about doing, but I'm just having a lot of second guessing recently because I'm just not sure I can find a job here. I'm already feeling concerned that like not only is my language skills not good enough, that my art might not be good enough. And if that's the case, you know, why am I spending all of this time at this school? You know, it's a lot of money, really. I mean, if I was like independently wealthy, it's pretty fun to go back to school. I'm enjoying the assignments. I think the teachers are pretty cool. I really like, you know, even though I was a little sad about the feedback I got on that other painting, like I said, the reason I went back to school was so that I could get feedback, you know, and I felt like I needed direction, and I felt like I really wanted a more leveling up in my ability. And I do think I've gotten some of that, but I've been a little surprised with like how casual the school is in so many ways. I feel like it's way more relaxed than I expected, and I'm not sure if I'm certainly like that, to be honest. Maybe some people would like that. But to me, I'm like, I'm spending all of this money on this school. I kind of want to be able to get a lot out of it. And I'm not really sure that that's happening. And so that's been making me really nervous lately. So I'm going to just pour this here. So I'm going to go for the outline now because I'm not happy with how she's coming out. So let's go for the outline. Ooh. She ain't looking so good, you guys. Oh, maybe it's just too small for me to get the amount of detail that I want. I'm used to working small, but she's pretty tiny. I don't really like how messy these lines look to me. I don't know how people effortlessly use watercolor. This is hard. She definitely looks Hawaiian to me with this dress now. Which is not really my intention, but the hair kind of works for that, I think. Ugh, her face looks weird, you guys. Ooh, I think her head is way too small for her body. How did I just notice that? Her head's so tiny. She's microcephalic, you guys. She is microcephalic. Oh, that's sad. My uncle's a vet, and they had a dog that somebody brought in or they got somehow, and the dog was really genuinely microcephalic, and they were told that they should just euthanize the dog. You know, microcephalic means he had like a tiny, tiny head, and they didn't because there are a bunch of bleeding hearts at my uncle's clinic. And they kept the doggy until basically I think the brain was growing and the head wasn't, and they had to euthanize it. So let's not say she's microcephalic. We'll just say she's got very unusual proportions. She's got like fashion croaky proportions, not quite what I want. I tend to do that a lot. That's another thing I tend to do, is I tend to draw really small heads, which is sort of the opposite of the style in Japan. You know, anime and manga are pretty common styles, even in areas that I didn't really expect to see it. I didn't expect to see kind of like more anime styles and stuff in like anti-smoking ads and things. So that always kind of comes as a bit of a surprise to me. But Yeah. So, and you know, more anime style, they tend to have much larger heads, where I tend to gravitate towards tiny little brains. I think her hair needs to be darker now, no? Let's see if maybe I can layer her hair. I added a lot of water to this, so maybe we can make it a little darker. I wish I had like a purple. I feel like a purple could be cool with this, but I have a pretty limited palette with these, which I prefer. But maybe a purple. Oh, I could add some red. I can mix colors. But this is such a warm red, I'm not sure. I think it's just gonna turn brown, yeah. It looks kind of cool. No? I don't know. Does it look cool or does it just look messy? It looks kind of gray. If I had maybe a warmer or a cooler red, that would have worked better. But I do think her hair needs a little shadow, so I don't regret it, but I'm not sure it's working the way I want. You know, I wonder sometimes I look too much at other artists, so I keep referencing this artist Maruti Bitamin that I follow on Instagram and I see on Pinterest all the time. And I wonder if like maybe, it's not like it's a comparing thing, but that I'm trying too much maybe to like copy the work of other people, or I get inspired and then I get kind of derailed maybe from like my own direction. That's something that I've been thinking about a little bit lately, because I really, again, I mentioned this artist earlier, was Uncomfy. She does clay art primarily, but she's been branching out to do designing her own products, and she's designing with her friend like a coloring book. So I really like Uncomfy. I recommend her a lot. But she talks about how she doesn't use Pinterest for inspiration because she doesn't really just want to like copy sort of what other people do. And I know some people are really influenced easily, maybe. I like to think that like I get one idea from it and then I can kind of leapfrog to sort of another idea, and I can just take pieces of it without, you know, copying it exactly. But I've been thinking about it, and I've been wondering if I should maybe take a break from looking at Pinterest for a little bit. At the same time, I'm totally dependent on it for school, so I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon. But it's just been sort of a passive little brain thought, like, oh, I wonder if these people have a point, and whether that's something I should consider in my own practice, taking a break from. I definitely try to take a break from Instagram, because Instagram is evil and it's all part of Meta, and they're just taking over the world, and Instagram is just a sad place for me. But Meta, not Meta. But yeah, I think it's just me and you, Sangjin. So if you're still listening and not just streaming in and working on your dissertation, please send me a message. But I understand if you're busy. So Zook has even quieted down, which is unusual for him. So yeah, I've wondered passively if I should maybe take a break from Pinterest, but I use it. Okay, thank you for listening. I use Pinterest for kind of everything when I do wonder if it's a problem, but I use it to help me, not just with inspiration, but like I do find images for reference, and I don't like use them directly, obviously, because that would be a problem, but I do use them as reference photos, and then I'll like collect a bunch of like different things. So right now in one of my classes, I'm making parfaits, like Japanese style parfaits, which are really cute and beautiful. But I'm not copying one image like exactly. So it's sort of like I can get away with it because I'm kind of merging disparate parfaits, you know, into one design. And so I can do that and not get any kind of like copyright infringement claim at some point if it was successful. I think my drawing looks weird, but it's okay. Sometimes things just don't work out. I have to draw the bird that's on her finger. I think the pattern for her dress should have maybe been different. But, or maybe I don't want to do it all. Should I do it all red? No, I don't want to do it all red. I like doing patterns. And honestly, again, this fucking artist that I keep talking about, Maruti Bitamin, she also, or they also, because I still don't know how they identify, do tons of like really cool patterns on the clothes and creatures that they design that I really like. So I'm really tempted to give this like a really hard like line everywhere, but I think I'm gonna leave it for now. So this version, done in watercolor, Ecoline watercolor, is done. Oh, can you see it? There she is. All right, this version is done. I think she looks, she looks okay. But we're gonna do the next one now. And this one we're going to do, I don't know which one I wanna do with, we'll do this one, okay. I'm gonna lighten this one, but not as much as the other one, because I'm gonna use pen and then I can just erase it really hard at the end. So we're gonna do pen this time, and then we're gonna use wash. So I'm gonna already like consolidate my inks a little bit, because I'm gonna just use these. I don't wanna get up. So we're just gonna clean these palettes with my rag. And then we'll use acrylic gouache with these soon. Hopefully it won't take too long to ink her. So I was thinking that I should do maybe more like thick and thin lines, which is what I see again in much more like manga anime style stuff. Gosh, I think this pen is too thick. Her lips look very, ooh, that looks way too thick. Her lips look very juicy, which is not necessarily what I wanted to do. Yeah, I think this size is better. Ooh, I don't totally love her face, but that's okay. Ooh, we just gave her like a weird nose job. Okay, I said I wasn't gonna do thick and thin lines, but I think we just did because I messed up. So that's okay. So I'm really struggling with faces. I usually do really pretty simple eyeballs and faces, and that's my cat. Ooh, I feel like I messed this one up, but I don't want to use the other one. Oof. Zook, you have food. He's trying to like get into his food, but he has food. Zook, you have food. I think I shouldn't have started right on the face. I think I needed some time to get used to using the pen, because I think I messed up her face. What do you think? Is her face... okay, we're gonna go with it, because, you know, these are for experiments. And I think, you know, as a art perfectionist, I'm not a perfectionist in all areas of my life, like cleaning my apartment. But I am a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to making things, I would say. And I do want it to look the way I have it in my mind. And so when I get these goofy lines like right up here, I get really frustrated. So that's disappointing to me, but I am gonna paint this. So some of these lines and weird things can be obscured a little bit when I paint. So I really like drawing hair, but I'm drawing it a little differently this time than I usually do. I usually don't do such hard lines for hair. I do a little more separation, and so I'm kind of already regretting some of the decisions that I'm making on the hair. But I think it's really important if you are trying to just develop, not a style, but you just want to keep improving. I feel like if you are a creative artist or someone who does something creative actively. I believe that everybody is creative personally in one way or another. And I think though, if you're like actively pursuing it, whether it's music, dance, theater, whatever, I feel like you're always trying to like learn new things. I think that's what I really like about making art, that I never really thought about until I was much older, but that it's this kind of like constant growth that you're always exploring. And I think that's why I've always been a little resistant to the idea of having like a certain style, because to me that was always like defeating the whole point of why I was doing this thing. You know, to me the whole point of doing this thing was that I was like getting to always try new things. But then I can understand that like if you're trying to make a living, you know, you might hit on something that really works financially, commercially, whatever, and you just kind of need to maybe make more things like that. So I totally get that. Unfortunately, I haven't, fortunately or I don't know which, good or bad in my case, but I haven't hit on anything that's been particularly lucrative for me. So I am always kind of trying new things and sort of seeing how it goes, and I enjoy it. But then, like, you know, I'm not super happy with how she came out. I'm already getting a little frustrated with this one because her face came out weird, but I'm enjoying this process more though. So I think that's another thing about style, or maybe medium, or how you draw, is it's not always like the result that you like best, but what makes you feel the most like pleasure, enjoyment while you draw. And I will be honest, I am enjoying drawing this a lot more than I was enjoying painting this. I'm finding using these little thin lines and kind of just doing these little swirlies a lot more relaxing. Maybe it's a control issue. I'm not super good at watercolor, and maybe if I spent a lot of time doing it, I would be able to control it better. Or maybe I just like the feeling of a pen on paper more than I like the feeling of watercolor on paper. So I think I should take notes from this because I am enjoying this process more so far. I'm not sure if it's gonna look better, and then once that's decided, maybe that can help inform some future work. Like if I really liked how this came out more than the other one and I enjoyed making it more, then why am I still trying to fiddle around with watercolors, right? Maybe, you know, just because I like the style of somebody who does watercolors really well doesn't mean that I have to be someone who does watercolors like that. I think that's something I struggle with. I want to be good at everything. I want to be able to do everything. And I think it comes from like, maybe all artists are like this, I don't know. But I was always like, as a kid, like I want to be able to draw everything really well. Like I just, all of it. Like it was not like, I felt like I had to learn how to do everything really well. And I continued that even in college for a while, like, and now I suppose, oops, I kind of made her hair weird there. It's okay. We'll just add some more lines. See, that's the thing with this is I feel like you can kind of hide mistakes. You can just kind of add more lines, and later I'll add paint and push that back a little bit, and I don't think anyone will notice. Whereas when I make a mistake with watercolor, I just feel like, well, that's done. Like, so I've always felt like I have to be really good at everything. And I've heard so many artists on YouTube, I watch a lot of YouTube, but be like, you know, you don't have to be really great at one thing. You can just be really great at this one thing that you do really well. But I'm also, like I said, I don't want to just be doing one thing all the time. That's the whole point of being like a creative person to me, is that like I get to try all of these different things, and I get to, you know, decide one day maybe I can do watercolor, and then I do watercolor and she comes out looking like a Hawaiian dress wearing ocean hair girl, and not really what I was going for, but I'm learning, and that's to me the whole point. I don't know, I mean, that's the whole point of life to me, I suppose, is to learn. And that's why I like doing art so much, I think, is that it is this constant like self-discovery. of what you like, of this push of what you're capable of doing. And yeah, so that's why I like doing art. And I think it's important to push yourself in life. Otherwise, I don't really know why you're living it. Of course, you shouldn't make yourself miserable. I think that's dumb. And sometimes I wonder if that's something that I do to myself, if I'm just like making myself unhappy for no reason. That's always a fun thought, as I do think I have that tendency, because I tend to be kind of hard on myself. And I think when you're a creative person, you tend to be pretty hard on yourself, of any kind, because I think you're pretty competitive, whether it's with other people or, you know, competing with yourself. You kind of always want to make something better than the last. And if it doesn't come out the way you hoped, it can feel really upsetting. Or if it did come out kind of the way you hoped, and then somebody gives you some like critique on it, it can feel kind of crushing, even though critiques are so important to creativity. It can definitely still feel not great to hear those things. So I am almost done inking this. I am doing the clouds pretty much in the same way. I didn't do that here. I kept them loose or just color, but I've decided that I am going to do them kind of hard ink, just like the rest of her. So I am a little worried that they might compete with her a little bit too much, but we'll see. So yeah, this one's definitely a lot more relaxing to me than the other one. And I feel much more calm making this one than I did the other one. So I really think I got to keep that in mind for myself. I do like drawing flowers though with the Ecoline watercolor. I don't feel as pressured, but drawing the human right now was really hard. So maybe it's also important to think about your subject matter depending on the media that you want to experiment with. In my case, at least, that seems like that really affected me. Or maybe it's just because it was the first one that I made. So we're done with the ink. And she's done. Beautiful. And now it's just me and you, Sangjin. So I'm going to let it dry a little bit. And it's dry up here for sure. So we're just gonna erase the pencil. Hopefully the clouds are pretty much dry. So I'm not gonna, well, maybe I will go realistic with the color. I was thinking of giving her color of her skin something unrealistic or something different, but maybe we will just go realistic with the skin and go weird with the hair again. But I kind of want to try different colors. Yeah, I'm annoyed that her nose came out like that, but it is what it is. Yeah, her face is kind of the most important part, and that's the part that I'm the most displeased with, but shanai na. All right, so I think we're just gonna go straight for the skin. So I'm gonna use some ochre and white. You can see it. So I'm using acrylic gouache, which is not something that I would have done, but my art teacher uses this, honestly, with like ink. So I just have to keep it really, really watered down so that it doesn't cover the ink. I made some drawings like this for an art show or art market that I did through my school, and I was really happy with the results, but I sold them all. so I can't show you. And some technique that is not something that I really ever did before, but I was happiest with the animals. So I did birds and critters, so I'm not sure how it's gonna look with a person, because animals have like a lot of cool texture and things like that I felt like I was able to capture really well. But humans, you know, generally speaking, don't have fur everywhere. And I'm just not sure how it's gonna work doing it on a person, but we'll see. I'm going with pretty bright colors. I really like this really bright pink, so we're gonna go really pink on her skin. I loved Lisa Frank as a child. I don't know if any kid of the like 90s / early aught child, I mean, I was a 90 baby, or, you know, elementary student, which is generally when you're into Lisa Frank, generally, no judgment. And I just love these like crazy pink colors still. I think there was a period of time where I was like, no, it needs to be dark, everything needs to be dark. But I've kind of learned that I really like pretty girly stuff still. Maybe not for like my personal style, but when it comes to making art, I do kind of like pretty girly, pretty things. And I do like pretty bright colors. But I don't want her to be quite this peachy. Just add a little more white. So this is too thick, because it'll definitely cover the ink. So we're gonna really water it down. I probably put too much white in it. Okay, we're gonna really water this down a lot, and we're gonna just color her skin. So it's basically like using watercolor with ink almost, but I just like the way it looks better than when I use watercolor, and I don't know why that would be. Maybe it's because it's more pigmented or more opaque or doesn't have as much texture as like watercolor will have. But I feel like when I did this, when I made these paintings this year, or I guess it was last year now, when I made these paintings for this market that I did, I was really happy with how they came out. So let's try it on a person. I'm getting hungry, you guys. I kind of am tempted to go to 7-Eleven, but I bought a lot at 7-Eleven the other day. Yeah, I'm already getting much better vibes with this than I am with the other one that I did. If you're just tuning in, this is the other girl that I made. I'm not super happy with her. We're gonna ban her for now. And oop, I don't think you could really see her. Oops, there she is in all of her unglory. But we're working on this girl now. She's been inked with Copic pen, and now I'm using acrylic gouache with a ton of water to paint her. And I'm finding this process a lot more relaxing. It's like having your own little coloring book, which is something I've considered, like, should I make a coloring book? Is that like a good idea? But I don't have any followers really on Instagram, and my YouTube channel is pretty tiny. So I don't think it's a good idea to put all this time into making products right now, because I don't really have anybody who's going to purchase them. But I think really if I want to make more of a business with my art, the way to go is to, again, we're back to style, probably to prioritize a certain style and market it. That's really, I think, the way. But as I mentioned, if I want to continue to live in Japan, I live in Osaka, Japan right now, and I'm going to school studying design and art. Well, really illustration. I'm studying illustration. If I want to continue living here after graduation, then I need to get a sponsorship from my job, in which case I probably would have to get an office job of some kind, which I don't know if I can do it. Frankly, I'm 34, almost 35, and I've never had like a normal office job. The closest was when I worked for like as an intern, quote unquote, because it was really like for family business that paid me under the table. And it wasn't even full time, but that's like the closest I had to an office job. I helped with their like pamphlets and stuff. They were a furniture company that resold Japanese furniture. I really enjoyed working for them. They were really good people, and I think about them, and I hope they're okay. And the LA fires, I just thought of it. But that was the closest thing that I think I've ever come to a typical office job, because I had to come in and sit at a computer and work for somebody else doing stuff that was like not really what I wanted to be doing. Like, I remember sitting at that job and being like, for the first time, I was like, if I spent 4 hours a day, like I was only doing 4-hour shifts or something. If I spent 4 hours a day working on my own website, imagine how much I could actually get done. Like, what a concept. So that was the closest thing I have had to a real office job. But like I said, it wasn't really quote unquote internship, and it was only part-time. And then when I moved to Korea, I worked teaching English, which to me is not really an office job. It's a lot more active than that. And you're not just sitting at a computer doing stuff. You're actively talking, moving, teaching. Even if it's adult students, it's still not really as passive as, obviously you're doing work at, at an office job, but it's not just checking emails. Unfortunately, sometimes it was really hard for me to do that. And I'm kind of concerned, like, if I got an office job, even if it was in design in Japan, like, could I really do it? I don't know if I could do it. I'm afraid that I would burn out, or I'd be so bored or so tired or something, that it just would really not suit me. But at the same time, obviously I have to make money, and I'm not making money from my art independently right now, and I'm teaching English online, and that's not really enough to sustain me for eternity, or not eternity, but my lifetime. So I'm in a bit of a conundrum, but I'm also kind of jumping the gun a little bit because I haven't graduated. So yeah, I'm enjoying this one a lot more. I like the bright colors a lot more. It's still reminding me of like Copic markers, which is not really my style. But we're gonna give her pink hair, man. Let's just go for it. Let's give her pink hair. I think we should do it. I think it's gonna be kind of extreme, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Yeah, it's gonna be really a lot, but it's gonna be fun. So the other girl, I gave blue hair. I'll give this girl pink hair. So I think I'm boring people because I'm getting not very many viewers, tragically, but it's okay. I did kind of announce my stream pretty last minute, and I don't have a lot of subscribers, so, and maybe just watching someone paint is not really that compelling, but I wanted to talk about style because I just kind of think people should chill out about it. But that's just my 2 cents. I'm not a guru on this. And I have made money, just to throw it out there, doing some commission work, and I have gotten some stuff through not great licensing deals. I've definitely not made a lot of money or zero money through some of my quote-unquote licensing deals. It was basically like a glorified pay on demand, really. If they sell stuff, then you get a tiny percentage, but it's not like, Spoonflower or Society6, it's through their personal site. But I didn't get anything bought on one at all. And then the other one so far, I've only had one kind of lucrative month, and even that was just $150. And the other month was $3, a whopping $3. And I started getting money, I think, in September from that company. And those are the only 2 months I've made any money over that period of time. So I'm obviously not making a ton off of licensing. But I have gotten commission work through Honest History magazine, which is a kids mag, and I have followed a more typical style generally with that magazine. But I don't really think they would care or notice if I sort of changed up my style, because I think they're mostly focused on the history and educating kids than really like, perfect illustrations. So I've experimented a little bit with that company when I've made different art for them. But I will say, like, I really struggle with more editorial artwork, and I wonder if that's really the direction that I should be going in, because I'm usually not very happy with how my work comes out for them, which makes me feel really sad, because I want to do good work, and I like working for them, and they never really complain. You know, I get notes on historical things or certain edits, you know, like they had a South African issue, and they told me to add more, like, beads to one of the guys to make it look like, you know, more wealthy, and they used a lot of, you know, beads and jewelry, and so I was like, cool, and he looked better. I definitely liked the way it came out more. So I've gotten, you know, feedback like that from them, but never anything super, like, huge or like, why did you change your style? I think they're just, you know, I'm on time and I follow the prompts pretty well. So that's been my most lucrative client. You could even go so far as to say that. But I would really, oh, it's getting dark. I don't know, just got overcast all of a sudden. Yeah. Oh, I feel like this quality isn't good. I think she's looking kind of cute, but I don't feel like this is my style. This is really fun to make though. I'm gonna be honest. I'm having really a lot of fun with this. But I don't know if pink-haired girls on clouds is like, so this is more of an issue of like subject matter than really what I would consider like, so style to me is like kind of like how you make something, and subject matter is like what you make. And I'm not sure if a girl on a cloud with a little bird is the direction I want my art to go in or not. I really do like making pretty girls though, so. But I feel like, oddly, even though this one was less fun, this one is a little bit more my style. Or more in the direction of the style that I want to go in than this one. But that's really complicated because I really enjoyed making this one a lot more. So I don't know. So we're gonna make the clouds, I think, kind of a bluish green, because I think green and blue, or I mean not green and blue, I think green and pink look really cool together because they're complementary colors. So let's just go ahead and do that. And I usually don't buy like pre-mixed paints. I usually just buy a lot of primary colors like ultramarine and cyan and colors that I have to mix, but I really liked this kind of milky mint green that I bought. And these are Holden gouache, acrylic gouache. And I want it to be actually more green. I think my water has gotten a little muddy, so it's not quite as bright as I kind of want it to be. Oh, this one's so much more fun, but I think she looks kind of weird, but whatever. So yeah, I think that there's a balance with style, I guess, and maybe that's something I'm just realizing in this video in real time is, you know, what do you like, how you like to make something, and how do you like making it that way? Like I said, I did not enjoy this watercolor one very much. I'm really enjoying making this one right now in front of you, but I feel like it's a little too cheesy and maybe a little unsophisticated. I feel like the other one is a little more sophisticated maybe than this one. This one feels a little more corny to me. Even though, and I think it's the hard lines, it just makes it feel more childish. I don't think it's the colors. I mean, the colors are definitely kind of a lot, but I think it's really more that the lines just feels a little bit more childish to me and like style than doing more without outlines. But maybe I need to learn how to do more thick and thin lines, like more anime manga style-ish. There's this one artist that I really like, and I don't remember her name. She's Japanese, and she does really cool, I think they're mostly digital illustrations, and they're usually like kind of vintage figures, like different time periods. And her line work and is astonishing. But I don't think it's just the line work. Her ability to draw people is incredible. Like, my people always come out rather cartoony. Even though I try to be realistic, I just don't have, I think, quite a good enough grasp of anatomy and how to make things look stylish. But she has a fantastic grasp on this. And so the line work and then the like perfection of like the joints of like her fingers or feet, where I kind of like guess them in there, you know? And I don't know how you get better at that. I've really tried getting better at my figures over the years, and I do think I've gotten better, but I haven't gotten as good as I would like. And so that's something that I've been thinking about this year. I'm thinking about working on figures and figures in different poses. And in order to do that, I'm thinking about making a little challenge for myself this year, like having basically a sketchbook devoted to practicing figures. And I asked my teacher her advice, like, should I look more at like figure drawings or real life, or should I look at other artists? And she suggested looking at other artists. I think we're gonna give her a striped dress. We're gonna give this one a striped dress. Oh, I'm already regretting that decision. So she suggested mostly looking at other artists and basically doing master copies. And I am thinking that she's right. So I don't really feel like I have time at this very, very moment, because it's at the very end of the semester and I'm kind of in a crunch time. But afterwards, we have a pretty long spring break. And so I'm thinking one of the challenges I'd like to make for myself is just spending like 20 minutes a day, I think, doing my own studies of figures and trying to learn how other artists sort of stylize or not stylize certain parts and make things look good and natural. I'm struggling with these stripes right now. This is not how they would flow on a skirt, but okay. That's all right. So, yeah. And I mentioned in the last drawing that I struggle with contrast, and I think you can see that here as well. Like, she's very low contrast right now, so I kind of want to pump up her hair, I think, mainly. I kind of want to keep the clouds and the dress pretty low contrast, but maybe we can add a little more to the hair. I think we're going to go with the hair, giving the hair slightly higher contrast, I think, because I'm really enjoying the hair. So let's try to pump it up a little bit. I don't know if it'll look good or not. I gave her a red eyeball. Was that a bad idea? Maybe, I don't know. So it's Saturday here, and I can see my laundry waving in the wind, and it's also quite sunny. And I might go and get some food after this. I shouldn't. I should eat at home, but it's the weekend, baby. So today I have 3 online classes, or 4 online English classes. So it's not that I'm not looking forward to it, but I do wish sometimes that I could just have like a weekend, a whole weekend, like a Saturday and Sunday, where I can kind of just do my art and chill and, you know, go somewhere. But I've decided to just take Sundays off. I used to work English lessons on Sundays as well. And even though I'm kind of financially strapped and I really shouldn't take Sundays off, I've decided to increase my weekly hours instead and take Sundays off for just mental purposes. I think that's the better way. I think it's important to have one day off a week where you don't theoretically have to do anything, although I still plan on recording a YouTube video tomorrow to edit and publish for next week. So yeah, I don't know if the contrast in her hair really made a difference or not. But now I think I'm gonna add highlights. So maybe that's, oh, first I gotta paint that bird. The bird is becoming a bit of an afterthought. Sorry, bird. Little birdie. Okay. I mean, Bird is still a little bit of an afterthought. Sorry, Bird. Little Bird. I think her dress needs a little bit more contrast too, honestly. All right, let's add a little bit more. So yeah, it's important to take time off, but it's also important to pay your bills. So it's a bit of a conundrum, you could say. So I'm hoping that I can get more students during the week, but there are obviously students who really prefer the weekend, and I just may not be able to teach those students anymore, and have to hopefully find new students who are cool with weekday lessons. All right, well, that one was more fun, and I think I finished it more quickly, but I want to add some highlights. We're going to add some highlights to this one. I don't think I am going to paint the flowers. There's some floating flowers, but I think I'm going to leave them just as lines. I kind of like that unfinished look. I just want to do some white highlights on her. I do kind of like making things look kind of shiny, or kind of like, I think of like almost like juicy. I do think some other artists do that too, and maybe it is also kind of childish, I don't know, or kind of not a very sophisticated look, but I do really like highlights. But I remember being told by teachers to like go easy on the highlights, but I can't help myself. Look how much more juicy it looks. She looks so shiny. I think I needed a smaller brush for this though. Yeah, my stomach is growling. I ate breakfast. I messed up her nose. We're gonna have to bring it back in with ink. That's okay. Oop. Yeah, maybe that wasn't a good idea. I mean, I was gonna do the highlights regardless, but whether it's a good idea or not, it's a learning process, you guys. Learning. So my plan is to do a live stream every other weekend on, or I guess US time, it would be Friday night, which is probably not the best timing for most people, but you gotta kind of just do what works for you and hope that something's gonna work, because during the week I just really can't do it. Unfortunately, I've decided that I really need to do artwork for class in the morning, because I'm just way too tired after school and teaching to get anything done. So my new plan is to get up early and work on homework in the mornings, and YouTube is for the weekend. So I have to, this is the only time I can really do it. Oh, I don't think the clouds needed that. Okay. We're gonna get rid of that. I think the clouds don't need highlights. Clouds are not shiny. We're gonna have to go back in and fix her nose a little bit. Okay. I think she's done enough. So let's look at these two so far. I'm not happy with either of them. Maybe I have to do it digitally. Or maybe I just don't like the idea very much. Why does she look so much smaller? It's the same sketch. So let me know if you have a preference. We're gonna do one more. It's been an hour and 20 minutes, but I think I can do one more. So this one is gonna be the most relaxed for me, I think, because I'm gonna use markers. And they're pretty big and I can't mix colors. And so, oops, I don't know where to put them. So we're gonna make her skin yellow. Let's just go for it. We're going for yellow skin today. Don't read into it. We're just gonna go for it. I was thinking of making her pink, but I don't see my really light pink. I don't know, I misplaced it somewhere, so. Can you see? Does she look okay? Okay. So I just practiced it in the corner because I got lazy. Oh, I probably should have lightened this. But you know what? These are acrylic markers, so they'll probably be able to cover the pencil pretty well, I think. So these are, to me, the most relaxing, maybe, is from all of them, because it's no mixing, so it's pretty fast work. And also, they're all the same felt tip pen, so it's not like I'm switching brushes. And I like the flat color of it, and I do like the feeling of it. So all in all, I'm a pretty big fan of Artex markers. I might have to outline her a little bit with another pen. We'll see if she comes out really messy. She might need to be, I think if this was bigger, it wouldn't be a problem, but this is a pretty small piece of paper. So she might need to get some outlines because it might get a little messy, but I'm already enjoying this one the most, but maybe I'm just warmed up because I've been drawing for over an hour already. I also, her face, this one came out the most plastic surgery looking face, so I kind of want to change it because I don't like that it looks like she looks so plastic. I don't like that. It's not the vibe we're going for here. Maybe I just need to do more stylized figures. I mean, I always try to go realistic plus stylized, but I always feel like I'm in this weird in-between where my figures just don't look really good. Like, they don't look super realistic, but they also don't look super stylized. And maybe that's something I should consider, is just pushing some things that I already really like in the work that I do. I do some much more graphic style figures as well. In the last video, I was painting a much more kind of, I would call it like unrealistic figure. And the figure was more of a representation of something else, you know, it had a landscape in it, and it wasn't really about the figure as so much as it was like as a way to kind of tell a story. And maybe that's more a direction that I should consider. And I'm not saying I have to give up, you know, more realistic figures either, but maybe it's okay in the quest of finding my style doesn't necessarily mean giving things up. Maybe finding things that I like to do the best. And maybe if I frame it more in that way, instead of giving, you know, things up, it's more like, how do I like telling stories? And I can keep learning on the side, you know, so I can learn new ways to tell stories if I want. But maybe that's how I should think about it. And that's sort of new for me that I'm coming to right now. I really struggle with finding how I like to do things. And that's in like a lot of areas of my life, I would argue. I like trying different ways to do things and setting new goals and making lists all the time. But then I don't really stick to anything. And that's kind of an issue. Although at the same time, I'm very timid about other things. So I don't want to sound like I always try new things. Like, I've been living in Japan forever, it feels like. It's been almost a year, which is crazy. And I still haven't explored so much. And so that's a big sadness. And so I want to start doing more of that. I was going to give her this crazy orange hair, but I'm not quite willing to do that. Should I give her green hair? No. I want to give her bright hair, but I didn't want to do pink again. That's too dark of a pink anyway. We can give her silver hair. I don't like that either. This is the problem when you do only have a limited color set. I wish I hadn't made her dress blue. Now I wish I'd made her hair blue instead. We could do realistic hair color. No. Darn. Shoot. What am I gonna do for her hair? She's gonna be the Little Mermaid? Oh, darn. I don't want to give her really dark hair because then it's not gonna... Let's just go for it. All right, we're giving her purple, dark purple hair. So she's an alien, obviously. Aren't we all? So I want to talk about other YouTubers because I just feel like it. So a YouTuber that I've been watching a lot, and I go on and off of watching her. I really like her, but sometimes I just don't watch her for a little bit. I don't know. But is Caroline Winkler. She's so cool. And I think this girl's hair is like Mars Attacks. All right. Darn. I think I'm tired, you guys. So what was I gonna say? All right, so I really enjoy her. I'm really inspired by her as a human, and I just love listening to her talk. So I've been listening to her podcast with her friend as well, called Not For Everyone, and I feel like I love the name of that podcast because I really think that's such an important thing to remember, is that we're not always for everyone. And I know I'm trying to do this YouTube thing, and I'm not doing it very well, and you know, I'm not for everyone. Maybe I'm a little boring, unlike Caroline, who might just be a little too much for some people. I may be a little too little, which is a sad thing to think, but ooh, this is coming out really bad, you guys. I'm concerned about this one. It's okay. It's okay. I think we're gonna get McDonald's after this, so all will be well with the world. But then I have online. This is taking longer than I expected to, which it always does. I always think I'm just gonna do a short stream, and then I end up streaming for like 2 hours. So, and it's hard to stay focused that long, honestly. So I think I'm getting a little sloppy here. But I think with these thickness of this Art X markers, I really need to be drawing this bigger or to have thinner markers. Actually, the hair looks kind of cool. I still think her head is too small. I think that's something I need to work on with my figures, is I tend to draw their heads too tiny. But yeah, Caroline Winkler, super awesome. I've tried to get my mom and dad to watch her just for her home. She does originally she was doing like home stuff. Like, it's not very detailed, is it? She was doing like home decor, I guess. You know, home interior design is the best way to put it, I guess. Home styling stuff. And I just think she's so funny and such a good job at doing it, and it's really inspiring and blah, blah, blah. And I just live usually in chaos and in a bit of a mess, and it's been something I've been really working on since I've moved to Japan, to live a cleaner life, a smaller life, you know, more minimal stuff, which I think my boyfriend would probably disagree because I have a ton of shit. But I am trying to not buy too many things because my place is small and I don't have money as well. But I really am inspired by seeing people having gorgeous spaces, and I don't think you need to spend a lot of money to have a gorgeous space. But that's not why I brought her up. The reason I brought her up is just because she has incredible banter and talking in her YouTube videos that I really enjoy. It just seems so like natural, and she seems so present, and like she's just talking to a friend. And that's what people say you should do for YouTube, is just like, imagine you're talking to a friend. But I don't know how you do that. I mean, I'm not even doing that now. I feel weird. I still think, even though it's a live stream and like hardly anybody's watching, you still can't really help yourself from being a little performative. And if you're doing two things at once, like I am, like talking and drawing, you're definitely a little distracted, and you're maybe not talking as naturally as maybe you would otherwise. It's not like just cleaning up your house and chatting. Ooh, my stomach is growling. Oh, actually I kind of liked that color. That worked out better than I expected. I am a little concerned that I'm not going to get her face quite right because this pen is so thick. I might have to go back in with some Copic marker, which I don't really want to do, but it might be necessary in this case to get some better outlines. It's silly to feel performative because I think the only people watching are me and my boyfriend right now, and I doubt anybody's gonna watch this part of the video if anybody restreams this, but it's still hard, and I think it's hard to take off the mask no matter what situation, but it's especially hard if you're on like YouTube or on some social media. Ooh, this marker is running out. I think this one's darker. I think I should have used the other gray. Yeah, this one's a little lighter, I think. And it has more ink, so we'll use this one. So yeah, Caroline Winkler, highly recommend, super funny. Uncomfy, as I mentioned, she's also another person who seems super comfortable on camera, although she at least says that, you know, it's not something she was originally super comfortable with, which I find more relatable. Caroline Winkler basically was an actress for many years, so I feel like she doesn't have the same kind of, and you know, I'm sure it's still hard to talk to a camera because it's like talking to nobody, but I feel like performing might come a little bit more easily to her than to someone like me or someone like Tammy from Uncomfy, because that's, you know, she was going to like graphic design school, so, and she was like a kid, like she just turned 24. I can't believe it. She's like making all of this money and has a successful business, and she's just a little kitty. She's 10 years younger than me, or 11 years younger than me. And she's just seems to have it all so together, and I don't know how people do it. How do you have things all together at 24? I was like a mess. I mean, man, at 24, I quit my second university in Boston, and I moved back to California, started community college, and kind of lost track of myself quite a lot in retrospect. Maybe staying in Boston would have been better, even if I hadn't continued attending the school I was going to at the time. I think coming back home, and oddly, I had more of a support network at home, but I felt more independent and capable and confident in myself in Boston because I was doing things on my own. And when I came back and was living with my parents, I think any kind of like confidence gain was sort of just lost, and it was a really hard time for me for a really long time. And I ended up going to Art Center in Pasadena, which the fires did go to, but Art Center's okay. Yeah, I don't know how I got on that topic. Oh yeah, Tammy from Uncomfy is just like killing it, and I just don't know how people do that at such a young age. I'm just so impressed by those people. It's really inspiring, but it also kind of terrifies me because it's like you feel kind of like maybe you missed the boat. Well, I'm actually enjoying these colors, so that's fun. That was unexpected a little bit because I was a little frustrated. That shouldn't be pink. I should make that blue or purple, sorry. Well, I think I'm gonna end up not really liking any of these versions, and maybe it's because this style of drawing is maybe not for me, and maybe that's the issue that I'm facing more than how I'm you know, executing the drawing is not really what matters, but what I'm drawing, which kind of makes sense. I enjoyed the drawing though. I enjoyed making the drawing. But maybe it's just not my style, and that's okay. And I mean like the subject matter and not the execution, because I've tried now, this is my third different way I'm trying to execute this, and I'm not super psyched about it. I'm liking this one more because I think I'm enjoying these kind of weird colors more. And I think it looks more cool than the other ones. But I still am not sure if this is really me and the kind of work that I want to make. So that's always kind of a struggle. I don't know how some people seem to know so clearly the kind of work that they want to make already, or whether they're just zeroing in on something that's already been like working financially. So that's always a mystery to me. Like someone like Tammy from Uncomfy, I'm like, does she really like doing all those little cute things? Like, is that her passion, really? Or is it just like she's just clever? She's a good, not clever, but like she's smart. She's a good businesswoman, and she zeroed in on a good idea and a good product, you know? Which is nothing wrong with that. And I just don't seem to know how to do that. I seem to be incapable of that. I think I need to listen to some like old videos of like talking about art from David Lynch. He passed away recently, and I enjoy Twin Peaks a lot, and I enjoy him a lot, and I listened to his audiobook, Catching the Big Fish, which inspired me to get like a TM course where I learned how to do transcendental meditation, which I no longer keep up with. But I think he's such a cool dude, and he really talks about art as art. And maybe, you know, he's always about talking about being happy while making art, and that it's about enjoying and getting deeper and catching that big fish. And I think that's why I like him so much, is it's like he's so much about enjoying your craft. I think you can get into the commercial side, which is all about making money, or you can get into the super like fine art side, which seems to all be about suffering. But what I liked about David Lynch is like he kind of did both. He made money. He had a lot of, you know, commercial success as a director and filmmaker, but he also talked about like really loving what you do and enjoying it and trying new things. Like he did music, I think, as well. And he decided he wasn't going to make films anymore, but he continued doing painting, I think. That was what he originally went to school for, was for painting and fine art, which is kind of crazy to think about because that's just not what we think about when we think of David Lynch. So I find him to be really inspiring. So maybe I need to listen to some of David Lynch today, because I think when I watch too much, like I watch a lot of art YouTubers who talk about business, or I watch a lot of like productivity YouTubers who talk about being more productive and doing things like me, which are not making me money anyway. So it's just like, I don't know. So maybe watching someone like David Lynch would be good for me right now. And I was sad to hear about his passing away, but at the same time, from what I understand, is he smoked, you know, like a chimney, and he drank coffee like nobody's business. And neither of those things are the healthiest of habits, and he did not care. So I also really love that about him. It wasn't like when you go to I learned transcendental meditation in Los Angeles, so they of course have to tell you like, you know, keep eating food, don't change your diet because of this, or starve yourself. But the main thing was like, don't go off your meds. You know, this is not going to cure your depression. And some people wanted to help them like drink less caffeine and stuff like that, which I thought was so funny, because David Lynch, who's such a huge proponent of it, was like a huge coffee drinker and smoker, and transcendental meditation wasn't really about breaking habits, but about finding ideas and getting deeper into yourself. And so I just thought it was funny that, especially in LA, people were looking at it as a way to like drink less coffee and like stop smoking and stuff, which is definitely not what it's about. I mean, it could help with some of those things, but it's just funny. Or like losing weight, like transcendental meditation is going to help you lose weight. Maybe, I don't know. But meditation is generally more about inner exploring, and I liked the way he described it in his book, which is like, you know, you have maybe a golf ball view of the world, and if you do transcendental meditation and open your mind more. So these are my 2 that I made before that I'm not super psyched about any of these, honestly, but let's put some lines for her skin. And I think, you know what, you guys, I wasn't gonna do it this way, but I'm tired and I'm getting hungry. So I think we're gonna go in with Copic, and we're gonna do some sketching over the marker, because I don't think I can get a good line on this. And I don't really want to give her a weird skin color line. So we're going to just use some Copic marker. Because honestly, it's just too small. Ooh, that looks creepy, you guys. All right, maybe we can put some pink for her lips at least. Ooh, she looks weird. She's a alien. Okay. All right, I think we fixed it a little bit, but her head is too small. How did I not notice that in the sketch, that her head is like tiny? Well, I think my confidence has been a little hurt in this video. I thought this was gonna come out so much better. Oh well. It's okay. You win some, you lose some. That's the whole point. It is hard to like draw on camera a little bit, and I think I feel a lot of, even though I don't get a lot of streams, I definitely still feel pressure from it that I wouldn't feel if I was just drawing on my own. I mean, I don't absolutely hate this with all of my being, but I'm definitely not in love with any of these versions that I made. And I don't feel like I came up with like an answer for myself, which is like, what style do I like the most? I think the answer that I'm coming for myself right now is that maybe this drawing as a whole is just not really my style. Maybe it's just a little too cheesy, corny, I don't know. I kind of like the blocked out hair more on this one though than the other ones. I think the other ones are a little too timid for me. I do tend to like slightly more bold stuff. So I think I like this idea the most, but I think if I wanted to get the amount of detail that I would like, I would definitely have to draw it a little bigger, and maybe I would use paint so I could get the clouds to be a color that I like, because I'm limited by these markers and I don't really like the lines that I drew on these clouds. I think that was a mistake. Maybe you know what? I have time. I have all the time, you guys. I think we're just gonna draw over them because I'm not happy with how they came out. So it's not gonna cover them directly, or not directly, like completely, but it's definitely gonna lower the strength of those lines that I added to the clouds. I'm still not super happy with the gray either, but the blue outline really to me detracted and looks really different in style from her. So I'd like to just bring that eye-catchingness down a lot, and I think it'll blend it better with the style that I have with the rest of her a little more. And maybe I can add some white highlights on the clouds to bring definition instead of adding this hard line all the way around it like I did. I have to color the bird. What's bird pink? I like doing a pretty limited color palette, so I'm using the same pink a lot. I do think a limited color palette tends to make things look kind of more unified, even when things are getting weird, which they're getting a little weird in here. Not in love with it. Not super psyched with this one, not gonna lie, but it's okay. I think for my next stream, I'm gonna have, honestly, my first stream was the most successful. I think I made the best drawing on my first one, and I had the most viewers, which is weird, but it's okay. Ooh, these are coming out weird too. I think I'm getting too hungry and just want to finish this, but that was a good experiment. I think this is sort of like I did 3 different, like, if I think about it more as like a sketchbook, like I did 3 different sketchbook experimentations, and I feel a little better about myself that, you know, that this was just like an experiment and it doesn't really matter. Which is most of what I do, frankly, because I'm not working for clients most of the time. So yeah, maybe we'll listen to some David Lynch later today. He's a cool guy. I recommend Twin Peaks. I didn't watch the new one though. I do feel like not a genuine fan for that. I do want to check it out one of these days. Laura! All right. I think we're wrapping this one up. Oh, we're gonna add some white. Oh, I think I lost the white. Oh, I don't know where the white one is. Darn it. Okay, we'll use some white paint instead. So I wasn't gonna use paint on this one, but I do think it needs some highlights, so. I love giving highlights. So let's put some paint here. So if you're just tuning in, I do have different versions of this girl that I tried painting, but I think they all came out weird, which is sad. It is a sadness when you fail, but I guess I'm gonna maybe have to journal about what I learned, or write down. Journal sounds a little, I don't journal. That's not something that I do. Who am I kidding? But I do think I need to kind of sit on what I gained from this, because this is something that I've thought about doing before, which is trying to do something 3 different ways or more than one way. And I have done it. Have I done it before? Usually what I do is I do a sketch and then I finish it digitally. You know, I think, oh, that could look cool like digitally instead. But I've never spent the time to do something 3 different ways, I think, with traditional materials. And I feel like this has been a good experiment for me. I'm enjoying putting this white in right now. I think it's added a lot to her hair. And I think it made her boobs look weird, but we can fix that later with some, we'll fix that later with some marker. I'm gonna put some on her face, but I'm afraid that it is gonna mess it up. Oh, it made her nose look a little better, I think. She's got a pretty harsh features with this one. So what's funny is each sketch is the same, but each face looks so different. I think it's like impossible for me to draw the same face each time, even if I try, even though I did try. So I think she's almost done, you guys. I think this one maybe came out the most close to my personal preference and how I think I want to go forward. And I think it maybe took the least amount of time. So it's probably because I work this way more often. So I drew a lot of insects last year using these ArtX acrylic markers. And they came out really cool. So I do really like these markers, but they're running out of ink, so I might have to get some more one of these days. Because what's nice is you don't have to do all of the mixing and stuff. So I do like that a lot. I just basically can bang out an idea much more quickly this way. And normally I would use the ArtX marker as well for the highlights, but I'm kind of glad that I didn't have it because this is a little thinner, and I think in this particular case the painting is a little too small to use the thick pen or marker. All right. I think this one came out the best. Let's cover this area because it came out a little weird. I think a little highlight is okay, but that got a little messy. I'm gonna finish the detail on some of her dress, but that part is wet, so I'm gonna have to leave it alone. But I think I'm done with this one. Or done enough because I'm kind of hungry. But these are the 3. Let's see if I can show them. I want to show, I made 3. So here's uno. So the first one I made is over here. So I made this one, and this one today. Oops. So she was the first one I made today. I made her using, oops, okay, Ecoline ink. Not ink, it's actually watercolor, but I always think of it as ink. I made her using Copic, and I made her using Artex acrylic markers. So tell me if anybody is interested in making their own art, you know, if you have a preference or if you just like art. So this one I definitely has potential, but I'm just not quite good enough at watercolor to get the look that I want. And I'm not sure if I'm willing to put in the time right now to learn how. So that's that one. This one was really fun to make, but to me it just looks kind of childish. I feel like it looks sort of like something you would maybe make in high school. I don't think it's just the colors. I think there's something about the ink pen that just kind of loses it for me. I think my personal favorite is definitely the acrylic pen or marker. I like the hair the most on this one, and I think it's closest to sort of the look that I want my art to go in. It's bold, and if it's bold, I think that's something I like. I'd like a bold art, and so maybe that's something I just have to remember. So, all right, that's all 3 of them. Sungjin, thank you for watching. I think you gave me all of my watch time on this one. All right, let's end it. Whoop. So here they are. Ta-da! And we have Dharma reminding us not to give up. Now how do I end it? Oh, here we go. Bye-bye.